Who owns the world? It's not who you think. No, it's not Oprah. Welcome to the most censored news. I'm Lee Camp. So now I'm going to tell you who really owns the world. It's not who you think, but I'm going to drag out the suspense as to who it is through this whole BlackRock. It's BlackRock. Damn it. Should have dragged it out longer. BlackRock is the largest asset management firm on the planet, and it's also the name of my mom's trademark inedible turkey liver sponge cake. But BlackRock is essentially a shadow bank. And I don't know what a shadow bank is, other than that my uncle would always say the Greek guy at his construction job had one, but it seemed vaguely racist, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But BlackRock is enormous. However big you're picturing right now, multiply it by the size of a Ford Sequoia. Side note, why are giant SUV monster trucks always named after the thing they kill? Yeah, I own a Nissan Polar Bear, but I'm thinking of trading it in for a Chevy, our grandchildren's future. It has 18 cup holders and 2 cup holders for any bear cubs you might run over with it. Yeah. BlackRock literally has more assets than the gross domestic products of every single country except China and the US. So just for a second, picture India with their 1.4 billion people. BlackRock has more than their annual GDP times 3. It's ridiculous. BlackRock holds somewhere around $9 trillion. That's a tenth of the whole world's yearly economic activity. Here, this will put it into perspective. If you make $60,000 a year after taxes, right, you're doing pretty well. Well, in order to grab up $9 trillion, you need to work for 150 million years. You'd have to work for the entire length of the existence of the dinosaurs. And that's if your Stegosaurus boss paid you on time, which you know how they are. And BlackRock is by far the biggest wealth fund or shadow bank in the world. The grand total of the sovereign wealth funds managed by over 91 such funds across the world is projected to be worth approximately $8.2 trillion. So BlackRock has more than 91 other wealth funds. So what does it do with all this money? I'll tell you what. They fucking own everything. Like everything. But especially horrible shit. They're like that friend you have who always goes, man, if you get a prostitute, I'll pay for it. I swear, man, I'll pay for it. But that guy's not offering to pick up the tab for your kid's daycare. No, they don't care about that. BlackRock is a huge investor in oil, and they hold $85 billion in coal, and that's despite their pledge to get rid of their fossil fuel shares. Yeah, about that pledge. BlackRock's CEO and founder, Larry Fink, yes, his name literally means an unpleasant or contemptible person. For fuck's sake, we're living in a stupid simulation, and it's not even trying to hide it anymore. The next president is going to be named Daniel You're Fucked, and we're supposed to keep acting like everything's normal. I voted for Daniel You're Fucked. He's pretty good. Liked some of his policies. Anyway, in a public statement, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink announced that he would start holding the companies they invest in accountable for being responsible corporate citizens. Responsible corporate citizens. That makes as much sense as fun STD. But even so, that statement by Fink got some of BlackRock's investments, companies that do things like pump fossil fuels to destroy the planet, it got them kind of nervous. They thought, oh shit, BlackRock might start funding good stuff like electric public transportation and free community health centers and bringing back Beanie Babies. I love a Beanie Baby. So BlackRock then wanted to reassure everyone they aren't actually changing. They wrote a letter stressing their commitment to destroying our future. In the letter, BlackRock reported its investment in fossil fuel companies totaled $259 billion globally, proudly touting that it is perhaps the world's largest investor in fossil fuel companies. But it's not just fossil fuels. BlackRock is also the world's largest investor in deforestation. I'm telling you, these guys they're the worst. They're like if Skeletor did the nasty into one of Mum-Ra's creepy eye holes and they produced like a half skeleton, half mummy creature, which is just a mummy. That's what a mummy is. I'm sorry. But these dudes who own the world aren't just content ruining our future. They want to ruin our now. BlackRock is one of the largest stakeholders of tasers manufacturer, Axon Enterprise. Tasers used by law enforcement killed thousands of Americans, according to a 2019 Reuters report. So next time some asshole cop is tasing you in the balls for riding your bicycle on the sidewalk, thank BlackRock. Or you can thank them the next time you're being bombed. BlackRock loves weapons contractors. They have $5.7 billion invested in Boeing, $2 billion in General Dynamics, $4.6 billion in Lockheed Martin, $2.6 billion in Northrop Grumman, and $6 billion in Raytheon. That makes them one of the largest, if not the largest, investor in weapons of death. They own the world. They achieved this evil success using a software called Aladdin, an algorithm that can tell them where and how to invest their trillions with very little risk. And guess what's not programmed into Aladdin? What Aladdin doesn't calculate? Make sure the planet survives at least another 20 years. That's not in there. Make sure all the world's children have something to eat. That's not in there. Make sure my grandma isn't living in a box eating stewed highway off-ramp dandelions. That's not in the algorithm. Yeah, Mama Eunice is using her last tooth to open an expired can of cream corn. Aladdin don't care. Aladdin don't give a shit. I still don't think you're grasping how large BlackRock is. You know most of the other companies you think own the world? Well, BlackRock owns most of them. They bought out their competitors like Merrill Lynch and Barclays. Then there's the largest banks in the Western world, right? Like JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup. You know, basically every place that an activist covered in pig's blood is chaining themselves to the doorway, which isn't easy. It's sticky and you got to sit there in your own piss for hours like you're waiting for tickets to a Rihanna concert or something. Anyway, who owns all of those banks? To some degree, fucking BlackRock. BlackRock is the largest or one of the largest shareholders in all of the top banks, even in other countries like Germany and Australia. What's Australia's biggest bank? The Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Largest stakeholder? Fucking BlackRock. God damn it. Are you one of the millions of Americans with money in a pension fund? Well, where does the pension fund send some of that money? Fucking BlackRock. Largest insurance companies in the world? Owned by fucking BlackRock. Why has housing gotten so crazy expensive in the US? Well, it's actually not BlackRock, but it's also not because of BlackRock. An entity called Blackstone has a subsidiary called Invitation Homes, which is the largest single-family home rental company in America. And the second largest stakeholder in Blackstone? Fucking BlackRock. The truth is, BlackRock owns 5% of most major companies in America. So when I said BlackRock owns everything, they own everything. And 5% might not sound like a high amount, but it usually makes BlackRock one of the largest single stakeholders in a company. And who do you think has the most power to tell said company what to do or how to behave? BlackRock! So why haven't you heard more about BlackRock? Well, who do you think owns the media? You guessed that one, didn't you? You saw that one coming. BlackRock, along with the second largest asset manager, Vanguard, own a large percentage of almost every single media and social media platform you hear, see, or smell on a daily basis. Have you not tried out Instagram's new smell feature? It's pretty awesome and gross. It's like 70-30 ratio, awesome to gross. You know that viral video of that very body positive guy twerking? You don't want to know how that smells. So let's see. The largest media companies, Disney, two of the biggest stakeholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. Comcast, two of the biggest stakeholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. Apple, two of the biggest stakeholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. Google, which owns YouTube, two of the biggest stakeholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. Twitter, two of the biggest stakeholders are Vanguard and BlackRock. Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, two of the biggest stakeholders are Ben Affleck and J-Lo, actually. No, I'm kidding. It's Vanguard and BlackRock. Are you starting to see a trend? Basically, for most people in America and much of the world, our life is to some degree owned, run, managed, manipulated by BlackRock and a guy named Fink. So how do we stop BlackRock? Well, protest, fight, scratch, bite, kick, scream, and demand to be broken into 1,000 pieces and scattered into the wind. But also, maybe, if there's time, switch away from an economic system that puts profit over human life, if the simulation will allow it. You know? Hey folks, hope you enjoyed the premiere episode of my new show, The Most Censored News with Lee Camp. This is being done in cooperation with MintPress News' new video project called Behind the Headlines. And I just want to thank all of you out there who donated to the Indiegogo campaign to make this show possible. We can't do it without you. We're breaking through the big tech algorithms, the censorship. I am the most censored comedian in America, but we're going to change that. And we're making this 100% people funded. It is fully and completely funded by people like you. So we're looking for members to keep this show alive, to keep this going. And you can do it by joining the Behind the Headlines Patreon. So go to Patreon and become a member and keep fighting.